Hey there folks, my name is Dan Bell, I'm with Nitrogen, and today I'm going to go through the process of creating a Power Automate flow that is going to copy a project request from a request list into a project list. And let me go ahead and show you what I'm talking about here first. I have a working model. We'll show you how it works, and then we'll go back through and show you how we actually made this happen. So I'm logged into my Power Apps interface here, and then I navigate to Apps, and here's my project app. Click on the project app, it launches my application. This is a little bit of a configuration in this particular project for the web environment. As I mentioned, we have a project request list. I'll click on that and go to the request list. And basically what the thought process here is that we have a particular situation in this organization where we want requests to initially go to this list to kind of filter out the noise, just to make sure there's something we want to pursue. This is not necessarily a create, select, plan, manage, and portfolio analysis selection. It's just, again, you can even call it a pre-qualification filter for projects in the organization before they actually get to the project list. So this is my project request list, and then you'll notice I have an actual project list in here, and this will include all sorts of projects, whether they're in execution, whether they happen to be in create, plan, or select, or whatever. So this is the full methodology of our projects in this particular environment. Now the way this works is if I'm in my project requests here, and I have a particular project request that I want to, at this point it's made it through the pre-qual, and I need to move it to the project list. What I can do is I can actually go in here, and let's go in the employee healthcare database. We'll edit it, and you can see the request state's currently in review. What I want to happen, and what will happen here, is when I select approved, I save and close. This is actually going to take this item and move it to my project list, right? So if I'm actually here and going to my project list, you're going to see that this item actually moved, employee healthcare database, and whatever information it had as a request was carried over too. Okay, so you don't have to retype information or anything. All that underlying data that happens to be present, is going to be brought over as part of that move process. Now the item does not get deleted from this list, the request list. I want an audit trail. I want to know that things were actually in here first. So what happens is if we look at all project requests, you'll see that we have a few others in here that are in approved states. So these are basically project requests that were approved and moved into the project list. Another thing that this particular flow does is it will send a notification. Here's the notification sent to myself, basically saying request employee healthcare database has been promoted to a project. It's now present in the project list. You may begin planning this project in detail and readying for execution from project for the web. All right. So that is basically what the flow is. And now we're going to go ahead and walk through that process of creating it to show you how it's done. All right, folks, back in the Power Apps interface here, what we want to do is we actually want to start by creating our flow in this case. I'm going to go ahead and click on flows here. And we'll click on new flows. And basically what we're going to do is click on automated cloud flow here. And I'm going to just give this promote to project list theme. And then what I want to do is I want to actually select the particular method here. I don't know if it's going to find me the right one initially. Data verse is what I'm looking for. When a row is added, modified, or deleted. So that's basically the one that I want. Let's go ahead and click create. All right, so we have when a row is added, modified, and deleted. Now I need to go ahead and put some information in here. The first thing I want to do is select the type of change that's going to trigger this flow. It's going to be an update. Next, I need to select the table, which in this place is going to be called project request, and that's a custom table that was created for this particular entity. And there's project request. The scope, we can either have it be to just a specific user or all users. Therefore, I'm going to select organization. Now, the other thing I want this to do is I only want it to be triggered on updates for a specific field, or at least it has to be, that field has to be updated for this to trigger, right? So it needs to be the request state. So what I basically need to do here is I need to get what the name of the request state is in the background. So what do I mean by that? So I'm going to go to data, go to tables. I have all selected, so it's not filtering anything out. I need to find the project request table, select that, and then now I'm looking at all the fields within the project request, and what I need to find is the request state, and there's the request state, and this is what I need here. I need this name because this is the name that the system is going to look for in the background in the flow. right? So what do I do with that? Well, I basically say the column filter is going to be that particular column. Okay, so that means it's not going to be triggered for every update to the request. It will only be triggered if at least this particular item is updated. And that basically takes care of that. Let's go ahead and click Save. So let's go ahead and add a condition. Go ahead and click on Control here, add a condition. And what we want to do is we want to go ahead and here and select Request State. So we'll go down. And for the most part, you'll find that this is alphabetized to a certain extent. And then you have to find out where the request state is equal, and what does it equal? Well, if you went back here, again, we can go to the apps, right? And I'm going to open up the request list again. So I can go into my project. I can go into the request list here, and I'm just going to open one of these for editing just to show you what's going on here. So basically these are the different values. However, the system is not going to look for this specific value. There's actually a value that's behind the scenes in this particular case. And if you've worked with Dynamics CRM in the past, you already know this. If you haven't, you're probably going to learn something here. What I did is I clicked on Advanced Settings. I'm going to go to Customizations and then Customize the System, and that will open another window. Now there may be another way to find this. If there is, and somebody watching knows, by all means, leave me a comment and tell me how to get to this a little bit easier way. I actually did use a different way. I created a variable and set it within my flow initially, and then it emailed me what the value was. But there certainly are other ways, I'm sure, to find the value. So what am I doing here? I'm basically going into entities. It's kind of a different way interface than the other way, but ultimately getting to a very similar area. I'm looking for the project request entity. There it is. And then I'm looking for the fields. And remember, it's the request state I'm looking for here. And we'll keep going down here. Score. And there's project request state. I'll select it, click edit. That opens yet another window. And then we're going to ignore the info up here. Really all we care about is the option set, which is basically a lookup table with predetermined values. If I click on edit here, it will bring up yet another window. And there are the available values for this item, and the one that I care about is approved. And when I select approved, you'll notice that these items over here populate. The label is the one that we see, the friendly item, right? That's easy to read. The value is the item that's going to be interpreted behind the scenes in that condition. Okay, so it's the 189.330.002. And it's not going to use the commas there, so I don't really need those, right? So I can save that. Now we're going to close out of all these windows since we have what we need. Our flow, which is the first one, and we want to evaluate this condition. When the request state is equal to the 189.330.002, which means approved, then we want to go ahead and do something. And what is it that we want to do in this particular case? Well, remember we talked about being able to create a record, right? So that means we need to add something in here. Click on Add an Action. It's going to be a data verse. And there it is, and it's going to be add a new row. And that added the add a new row here. And what I need to do is first I need to select, well, what table are we adding the row to? It's going to be the projects table. And bring that down a little. And let's go ahead and find projects in here. There's projects. And when I select that, then the rest of this is going to go ahead and fill out a little bit, right? So now I'm going to go ahead and fill in the rest of the values here. And I'm going to do this, and then we'll come right back so you don't have to watch me fill this data. Okay, so we have all the values filled out in the add a new row. We put the calendar ID, contracting unit name, project manager, some other values here. We tried to put every single value that we had a value for in this particular case, right? So you can see a lot of them are filled out. There are some that are not filled out, but we did all we could. And I also went ahead and took the liberty of creating the email notification. And in this case, it's sending it to me. What I would probably use in this case is, instead of my email address in this demo environment, is I would use something that's dynamic, which would basically be the person that's changing the value. So the currently logged in person, the person editing the entity. I put a subject in here, and then the body of the email request, and then the name of the request has been promoted to project and is now present in the projects list. You may now begin planning this project in detail and readying it for execution. And let's go ahead and change this. Okay, there we are. We're going to save it. It takes a moment to save. And then after it finishes, we should be in a situation where we're able to actually test this item. We're all saved. So what we're going to do is so we're back in the list. Remember, we have the active project requests here, and then we have the all. Right, in the all, you can see 3 were approved. We have 2 left that have not been approved yet. So we'll go back to active. I could do it from either view. Doesn't matter. So we're going to go ahead and select router benchmark system upgrade. Select it. Click on edit. And we can see the request state's currently in review. And basically, theoretically, the PMO, the necessary individuals, took a look at this and they say, yeah, this is something that we would like to continue to pursue. Go ahead and select it. And coming to our email, we can see request promoted to project. We did get the notification, and it's the router benchmark system upgrade. It's been promoted. You can see that little, right, sincerely project for the web. Let's go in the system, and we should see all project requests. We'll see router benchmark, right? But we're not going to see it in active project requests because in this particular environment, active represents something that's still going through some kind of process to be approved or on hold or rejected. All right, so when we go ahead to the project list here, and I'll go ahead and select all just in case, there is router benchmark down here. We can select it, we can edit it. There's the information for it, and again, you can see that it carried some of the data over as we had asked it to. And there you go. There's what the Power Automate flow looks like. It basically took an item, copied it from the request list to the project list. The view filters out the approved requests from the active list, right? It also sent an email notification that you can see here. And pretty simple stuff, but you can just imagine the additional capabilities you can build upon this. Hope you learned something from this, folks, and stay tuned. We'll have more videos. Any suggestions, let us know. Thanks for attending and have a wonderful day.